Hi, I'm James, this is Malton Make, and today we're going to be finishing off the beer. We're back in the brewery today and it's time to finish off the beer. Now, it's been fermenting for about 10 days and I think it's ready to put into kegs. The first thing to do is to check how dense it is, and we do that taking a sample of the beer and checking it with a hydrometer. That tells us, is it finished? Has the yeast done its work? And just how much alcohol is in there. And that's a really important thing to check, because everyone wants to make sure that there's flavour in their beer.
This is a hydrometer. You can see that it floats, both magically in the air and also in the beer. Now, the height that it floats at is what you use to determine how much alcohol there is. Taking the original reading before it fermented and the final gravity lets you know just how much alcohol there is. The other thing that is important to know is the temperature. And because I've got a temperature controlled setup for my fermenter, that's really easy to read off the screen.
I've moved the fermenter over to near where the bright tank is, so it'll be easier to transfer things. The first thing I need to do though is make sure that everything that's going to transfer this beer is sanitised. I'm using a solution of Star San here just to rinse everything.
The one thing I'd forgotten to do is to get rid of the stuff at the bottom of the fermenter. Some of this is the dormant yeast and some of it is hop matter from the dry hop. Now there's two different valves. The one I'm emptying now is the one that I'm going to use to transfer the beer, but really I should empty most of it through the bottom one. And you can see me doing that now. And that's the point where most of it's gone. Now, I emptied out a little bit more from the top valve just to make sure it was nice and clean, and then I connected up everything after it had been sanitized again. You can see I'm using tri-clamp fittings here. They're really simple and make a sanitary connection very easy. Once everything's connected up, it's just a case of opening the valves on the bright tank and then opening the valve on the fermenter before letting the beer run in. And you can see it coming through the tubing now. Don't forget to open the pressure relief valve at the top of the bright tank, because otherwise all of the carbon dioxide that's in there will build up and stop the beer flowing in. The idea behind a bright tank is that it's a clean vessel which you can pressurize, and that way you can carbonate the beer rather than having to put it into kegs and carbonate it that way. It's a new purchase for me, and I'm really excited to see how it makes a difference to my brewing process. Of course, once it's finished in the bright tank, I'm going to transfer it into the kegs, and I'll talk about that in just a little while. Of course, you don't have to have a bright tank to keg. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just sanitizing everything on the keg before I connect it up to the fermenter. I'm using the beer out side of the keg, which means that the beer will flow in and right to the bottom of the keg, hopefully protecting it under a blanket of carbon dioxide. In the meantime, the bright tank is chilling down and carbonating. I've attached some CO2 to it and also a chilled water line.
It's been about 24 hours since I started chilling the beer and I think it's finally there. It's been down at about 1 degree for about 3 or 4 hours and it's carbonated to a headspace pressure of around 10 psi. Now, in terms of how fizzy the beer is going to be, that's probably a little bit low, but it doesn't matter too much as it's going to go into a keg anyway and it can finish the rest of the carbonation while it's on tap. The kegs I use are called Corny kegs. They were made by the Cornelius company and originally it's how you got your soda. Or if you're in the UK, it's how we got fizzy drinks, because we don't drink soda. They come in a couple of different sizes. In Freedom units, this is a 2.5 gallon, and in normal units, this is about a 10 litre. But the majority of people use them in the bigger size. So this is what is strictly an 18.9 litre keg or a 10 US gallon keg. And they've got some quick connect fittings on the top, they've got a pressure relief valve, and they've got a big hole in the top which makes cleaning them very easy. Now, these are all second-hand. You can buy them new, but to be honest, you might as well buy them second-hand as long as they're in good condition. I've wrapped some of them in a closed-cell foam just to try and keep some of the heat away and make the temperature a bit more stable when I store them. But they're a great solution if you want to get into kegging beer.
This is my setup for filling kegs from the Bright tank. I put the keg on a scale to figure out just how much beer I've added, and you can see a pressure relief valve there to let the beer go in slowly.
Now the beer's in the keg, the last thing we have to do is connect it up to the taps, or as Americans call them, faucets. Now I've got 3, I'm going to put beer on 2 of them and water on 1, which means I have fizzy water and beer, so I can drink something whatever time of day it is. And that's beer.
I've got a 3-tap setup in my kitchen, and underneath is where I keep the kegs, as well as an inline chiller and a bottle of carbon dioxide. It's a bit of a tight squeeze, but they all fit in there just about. Of course, now it's time to put the new kegs in.
And squeeze, okay, right. This is not easy to film, but hopefully you'll understand what I'm doing here. I'm connecting up both the gas in and a beer out connection to the keg, and then this is the last one, the beer, that's going to go in. And away. Focus, focus. There.
Now with everything in place, it's just a case of running through the beer lines to get rid of the water and the sanitizer that was in there before pouring a pint. And you can see I've got beer on the 2 left-hand taps and water on the right. A little bit cloudy, but it'll clear up. I mean, I don't want it to go to waste. I'll take this now.
And that's it. We've made beer and now it's on tap. All that's left to do, sit back and enjoy this beer. In the meantime, why don't you enjoy one of my old videos, like this one, or this one, slightly lower down. Anyway, thanks for coming with me on this journey. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.